Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 17th of February. And, well, we had our defining lines here of the 38% below, definitely looking for weakness, and above certainly was more to the bullish side. We had the pivot up of Magenta, however, didn't quite cross, and we were looking for that test of weight. Would it pivot lower or continue? So we're still looking for a showdown, as it would seem, between them. We've got an orange dip all the way back down, which tends to be more bullish, and then you'll notice also rising gold. So rising gold, particularly as it gets to the 50%, becomes rather strong momentum play towards the upside. So it's more of that back and forth that we've been looking at. We still haven't finalized, and like I said, it takes a couple of days for that. But there are more bullish signals here with the positive move of steel with short-term buyers. You have mid-term, short-term buyers all tilting up, coming off the P2. So we're pretty close back to where that P2 close was anyway. That was, let's take a look at these. Close on that one was 44.97, and here we're at 44.50, having gone as high as 44.84, which is pretty darn close. From an NQ standpoint, stronger because you've already got the cross of Magenta NBI over, even with the progression of white at this particular point. That's more bullish, particularly with that orange dipping below red. Again, rarely do I want to fight that. Rather see orange pop up if I'm thinking that I'm going to get consistently lower from that aspect, because once you have magenta riding, even if it's back and forth, it tends to have more of a bullish presence when that takes place. From a euro standpoint, of course, there's the battle between the ECB, Lagarde, and her talk of hawkishness as well, and who is actually going to be. The Fed would prefer a higher euro just because it bolsters U.S. export situation, and of course the ECB, they're just looking for a lifeline at this particular point because things are a disaster in Europe in general. And gold not letting up, filled in the positive extreme from before, and, well, created a new one. So you get a little back and forth with that. That tends to happen, though, with gold. Commodities are going to rise in dramatic fashion and have significant down days, too, particularly as people try to digest, safe havens versus just controlling risk. Oil, a little bit of a fade back. Still, these extended highs for longer periods, that's not going to change the inflationary picture at this point. We did make a new low for TLT until the Fed minutes came out, and then we ended up with the very thin liquidity on the ES, and of course that gave up a little bit of it and lowered the yield just a little bit back. But again, still making lower lows along this route, and still expecting it to break below the 130 range. Bonds move pretty slow, so give treasuries a break when it comes to that. From a Bitcoin standpoint, well, we had the run-up, a little too early on that breakout buy setup there. Then it went short. The short was looking nice. We hit the 50% and supported off the 50% with that magenta turnaround early on, and just gave it a break-even cover on that setup. Too spectacular there. From a 50K standpoint, likewise, same thing. We had the short setup, and then of course we had the turnaround with magenta moving above white at that particular stage, and green was already above. So definitely an earlier cover point from what we see from an indicator read. A little adjustments to make on those setups. So from a 5Ks where we ended, came out through that turnaround from the Fed, and the strong print came from it. A lot of positive extremes took place within that, and we started to fill back part way to that 44.59 was a previous one. But as we look, it's right about here, so just slightly below what that high at 53 is, fill of the secondary one, and the other ones, unfortunately, they're like singles. And what I look for is when you get a stretch of more than one, because that tends to point out the extremity of the algo move. And so when there's that flip, and this was a classic breakdown, we went right back to it. Intraday action was mostly to the downside. So we had quite a bit of off trade there, but you can see not as big a range as we've been looking at over the last few days. But the paint on it was pretty darn clear. Then we started getting some support within that, and that gave us a little bit of these green pops that kept fading off a little bit as we were waiting for the big buildup and the pre-pump, the dump, and then that was the full buy that we led to the end of the day. So still excellent ranges, lots of excitement. As always, anything relevant, I'll put up on our Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.